Welcome to the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker, great to have you with us. We welcome your chats on YouTube today. Want to hear from you folks. And, we're going to talk a little Cardinal ball here. Cardinals with a win last night over the Athletics. No great shakes, but the dominance of one Miles Mikolas was notable. He was great last night. 6 innings. He only allows 1 run. The Cardinals win it 2-1. I'm telling you, Matthew, if you could go a whole season and not have any injuries and play all of your games at home with Miles Mikolas starting and Herrera hitting, you're set. You're golden. So I think that's what the Cardinals need to do. First thing they need to do today, and I don't care if it's Chaim Bloom, I don't care if it's Rob Serfolio, I don't care if it's Bill DeWitt III. Somebody has to get a hold of Miles Mikolas' agent and say, look, we're ready to talk about 2026. We're going $8 million. We want Miles to be one of our guys. And here's the perk, the big perk. Okay, so we're only going to sign him for $5 million, but he doesn't have to travel. He only pitches at home. What do you think?
I think we can make this work. I'm putting out a poll right now for the everyone watching right now. Mm-hmm. What would your reaction be to a 1-year, $8 million deal for Miles Mikolas? Your 4 options are tepid sadness, raging anger, aggressive apathy, or odd excitement. Because I feel like there's some weirdos out there.
I am not going to make this decision quite yet. I need to put some thought into this. Would I be sad? Would I be mad? Would I be apathetic?
Or would you be oddly excited?
Oddly excited. Okay, so here's my thing. What's he going to be, 36 next year?
I think so, yeah.
In his age 36 year. Is Wilson wears weird jerseys every
Yes,
day?
but I'm okay with
Fakir Brown?
No, I think that's a Robert Quinn.
Oh, yes. Bob Quinn. Okay, good.
Nicely done. Fakir Brown, number 34, good call.
Thank you.
That 2006
Lamar Gordon too.
That 2006 free agency class was a big one.
Oh yeah, Fakir Brown. Okay, here's a quick story about the old St. Louis Rams. The 2007 Cleveland Browns come into town, and they have Braylon Edwards and was it Joe Juravicius?
Yes.
Derek Anderson throw into those guys. So it was Braylon Edwards and Joe Juravicius, and Fakir Brown is a starting cornerback for the St. Louis Rams. And after the game, because Fakir, he studied. He knew the opposing players. He watched tape. And so after the game, in the post-game locker room, somebody asks him about the Cleveland receivers, and he said, we knew they were good, but they were gooder than we thought they were.
Oh, no, Fakir,
yeah. So I had to get that out of the way. So anyway, I don't know if I'd be tepidly sad if the Cardinals would sign Mikolas to a 1-year deal for $8 million. I don't think that I could develop raging anger at this point. I might be apathetic about it, and I don't think I'd be oddly excited. Because I don't think that you can win with Miles Mikolas, but I don't think the Cardinals can win next year anyway. So I think that I would go between apathy and sadness. Sadness because they had nobody better to give their money to than Miles Mikolas. And by the way, he's not horrible. If Miles Mikolas was the number 5 starter for the Dodgers and was giving them innings, and he could be up and down like this, but if he took the ball every 5th day, because none of their guys do, except for Yamamoto, they'd kind of like to have that. Some good teams would like to have that, but for a bad team where he's anything but your number 5 starter, then you got problems.
This could be Benson. It would make me feel Chaim isn't any different than Mo. Pete Baker says sadness. There is one freak out there in our listenership because there is at least one vote right now that is odd excitement. Okay. Raging anger is leading the category, though. Aggressive apathy is actually outpacing sadness right now, which honestly is really impressive for the apathetic people. Really putting in some emotion there for the first time.
This could be Ben. Let someone else deal with his woes. Yeah, I think that's it. I think the Cardinals, here's my thing. And they brought in all of these people to handle their minor league system. Well, one of the things that all these minor league guys are doing is they're seeing the opposition too. And baseball has this thing called 6-year minor league free agency. If you're a minor leaguer and you haven't been promoted to the majors yet, then you can be signed as a free agent, as a minor league free agent. I think the Cardinals should mine that field of players. The 6-year minor league free agents, I'd rather roll the dice on a 28-year-old guy who's never had a chance in the major leagues. And maybe Blake Lively can make him a better pitcher than he's already been. That would be the way I would want to go. rather than, and maybe sign 3 or 4 of those guys rather for $1 million each, maybe, rather than spending $6 or $8 million on Mikolas. And like I say, I think Mikolas in a different setting could be better. I just don't think that he is where the Cardinals need a guy right now. Cardinals need young and cheap, and he's neither.
Randy, please, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it feels like when you say the coach's name wrong, like you don't inspire a lot of confidence that he can do his job.
Oh, I think that Robert Blake has done a wonderful job.
No, see, that's also not. Wait a second. Okay, I think you went with the murderer's name that time, if I remember correctly, right?
Oh, alleged. I think he might have gotten
my
off.
bad.
Okay, so anyway,
I mean, details of the murder.
Yeah. So I think Dusty Springfield is really good. I think.
No, he did it again.
So when you look at the way this bullpen has performed, here's the thing: overarching. Okay, let's give Dusty Blake some credit here. Somebody has to be responsible for all of these pitchers staying healthy all year. I think Dusty is a big part of that. Somebody also has to be responsible for the quality of the bullpen, especially the young guys that have taken the place of the old guys that got traded. Not old guys, but Matz, Helsley, Mayton, all older, right? Relative to me, they're young, but to the guys that replaced them, they're older. So the young relievers that are doing a good job.
Redcon 1. Other option to sign Mikolas, tactical infiltration of the DeWitt's mansion and hold him hostage till Bloom negotiated his safe release.
Okay, here's the thing though. Which mansion?
Oh, you put him in Cincinnati, it's hard to get to.
Cincinnati, Jupiter, London, LA. I think they might have another. I'm not sure. St. Louis.
They got one in London too?
Yeah.
Do they really? God bless him.
Yeah. So I don't know which mansion you go to. That's one of the Kroenke problems that I've thought about. I know I've had these sick thoughts over the past, but if you're going to infiltrate one of his mansions, which one?
Keith Adams says, hell no to the no.
Graham, there are plenty of other options for cheap mid-number 5 free agents that have a lot better attitude than Mikolas. Miles is a likable sort in that room. I know that you wouldn't.
He's
like
a comedian.
He is kind of a comedian.
He wears goofy hats.
He does wear goofy hats. That's why he doesn't like him that much.
Oh, come on.
I am all over
it. I like a goofy hat every once in a while. Is Miles getting the secret Kwame contract?
Yeah.
I thought you mean Kawhi.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Kwame Brown, Kawhi Leonard. There
you
go. So anyway, make the Cardinals great again. That's the cap that we need.
Block hog, kick the can down the road until the lockout's over. Anything else does not make good business sense.
How about Aaron G? Maybe Miles just needs to prepare better, watch more film. Could be that that's the case.
Well, he's out on the road. That's the issue. He's out bopping around. He's got to go take down a homeless encampment. He can't be watching. He can't be watching film that day.
That's true. If you didn't hear, Brant Brown was on with Bernie and Chris Ranji and Aki yesterday on the KMOX show, The Gas House Gang, and Brant Brown, the Cardinals hitting coach, essentially said, "Do we have this?"
Yes, we do. Not the clip, but we have the
here's
quote
the
right
quote.
Here.
I mean, just on his daily structure level, at some point in time, he's going to have to devote a kind of more on focus on preparation. We've had long conversations with this. It's not only looking at film on the starter, but also being able to come in on the first day of a series. Like, just take a look at all the bullpen guys, like all the information and videos available, just so we're not, getting snuck up on when a reliever comes in. That's kind of an indictment of Jordan Walker's work ethic, isn't it?
It is. And tell me if I'm wrong, because when I read that, one of the first things I did was I was like, what? Because he's saying there that clearly he needs to prepare for the whole bullpen the way that he prepares for starters and the relievers he expects to face. Because I'm taking that as he does prepare for starters and the bullpen people he expects to face, but almost every series there's bullpen people he did not adequately prepare for, and that leads him down a bad path. That's what I heard from his explanation. Is that kind of what you heard?
Yes, it is.
So that's why the one reaction I had yesterday was the tweet I sent out that pointed out that MLB average across the entire league, batters are worse versus relievers than starters by 17 points in the OPS. Jordan Walker is 120 points better in OPS against relievers than starters. And so, and again, they're talking about breaking down these at-bats by video. So I'm not saying Brant Brown is wrong.
Brant Brown, WTF.
But I am just wondering why, if that's the big issue, why the manifesting in the numbers is so stark in the other way.
Yeah. Now, it could be just a level of dissatisfaction with the preparation.
Yes.
I know Mark McGwire, who I think is the best hitting coach that I've been around, maybe not the best ever, I don't know, but the best I've been around, because everything was about up here. And he always said that it was important, and he told his hitters, do all of that mental homework at home. Prepare for the starter, prepare for the bullpen. They have access to all of the film that Brant Brown is talking about, all the video that he's talking about, all of the repertoire of all of those guys. And Mark McGwire said, when you drive through that gate at the ballpark, you should have all of your mental preparation done. That should have happened before you get to the ballpark. And then once you drive through that gate, the rest is physical. That's when you're working on your swing plane. That's when you're working on your stance. That's when you're working on anything physical in terms of hitting. I think that's a great approach to take. I don't know if Jordan Walker does that, but it seems like the way things go with him, they talked earlier about how he was developing buy-in with their plan, and maybe he's just not 100% bought in. But he also did tell Derek Gould that he loves Brant Brown, that he really likes the approach that Brant Brown has given him.
And I think there were some other very interesting comments we have in Brant Brown, because a lot of what we've talked about with Walker has been them kind of the push and pull of those kind of things. And later on in the interview, he did acknowledge that. I think the one thing with Walker is we've kind of played a massive game of tennis, going back and forth with what he feels he needs to do versus what he really needs to do. I think that is the most, maybe not the first time, but that is the most blatant observation from a Cardinals person. That they have not given him the clearest pathway over the last 3 years.
Right.
And he says, and until now, we can get a full commitment out of him just to say, all right, this is where I'm at. If I'm looking at the numbers, like, it's not the best. But for me, there's a really easy way out. It just, he might have to do be a little bit more uncomfortable to be able to achieve what we wanted to achieve. So I think there's definitely some criticism coming from him, but the fact that he acknowledges the other side of the coin and potentially some blame on the Cardinals side, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first real acknowledgement from that point. That is an important factor in every discussion we've had over the last 3 years, but especially now as we're having this one.
And I think that first quote there is referencing the buyout, the massive game of tennis, going back and forth with what he feels like he needs to do versus what he really needs to do. So they're volleying back and forth because Walker is essentially saying, well, this is what got me here. I don't need to change. And the Cardinals are saying, no, that what got you here isn't going to work at the major league level. This is what you need to do. So that to me is what they're talking about when they say he hasn't really completely bought in.
That's interesting, but it's either way that these aren't good things to hear. And also Brant Brown did have some general comments about the Cardinals offense, which I did think was very interesting. I think not only Walker, but as a group historically, as Cardinals hitters are struggling, they try to swing their way out instead of hit their way out and identify the point like, man, I'm seeing a golf ball. I'm just late on this. I'm early on that. Like, I'm just going to downshift. I'm going to stay in the fairway and get to the day. Work the ball the other way. There's a big hole over there with a runner on first. Take the hit and just kind of downshift. And it's amazing when guys think they downshift with what actually happens, it calms them down. So he's here then, just like right after talking about the lack of preparation, he's here on the Gas House Gang yesterday with Marmol, with Bernie, Ackerman, and Ranji, just breaking down an entirely problematic philosophy throughout the entire roster.
Mm-hmm. So there's a way that you can stay in the fairway all day?
No. When you have talent, apparently there's a way. I haven't figured it out. I certainly never will.
Yeah, I just stay in the fairway and get through the day. But I thought another point that he made was when he was talking about the players in the dugout, talking about being ultra aggressive. He's saying, no, you don't have to be that aggressive. You need to be in control. They were talking about selling out. Mm-hmm. He said, and we have hitters in our dugout saying, I'm going to sell out on this. He says, no, don't sell out. You don't need to be out of control. This is paraphrasing. You need to be under control. And I thought that was an interesting comment too, that the players are all hitting for power. They're going to get paid for hitting home runs, but that's not necessarily how you're going to win, because a lot of times when you try to hit home runs, you sell out, you're going to strike out too. And that was the reference that he was making.
Yeah, that's going to be problematic, and it again, it's an entire issue across the entire team. I think that's an interesting point from Brant Brown.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, it's if that's going to be the team philosophy, it's kind of hard for a young hitter to get out of that mindset.
Now, that being said, and Leo makes this point, extremely disheartening stuff from BB about Jordan. The assumption that these young guys are working their butts off to get better is the only thing that makes it feel worth it. It looks and sounds to me like Nolan Gorman is working his butt off to get better. He spent basically the entire offseason in Arizona with Brant Brown in a cage in his backyard. They worked together diligently during spring training. Cardinals tried to protect him a little bit at the beginning of the season when they didn't think that he was ready. But since the start of May, since they determined that he was ready and he's played every day, he's been pretty darn good. And oh, by the way, the defense is coming along too. When you think about people like Alec Burleson, you think about people like Donovan, even Nudbar, who's getting better. I think there are a lot of positives to be drawn. And I don't even question, even though the numbers aren't there, the work ethic of Victor Scott II seems to be just fine. The only person that even privately they appear to question the effort of is Jordan Walker.
Yeah, and here
and I won't. Let me not say effort. The buy-in. I'm going to say buy-in rather than effort.
And here was a second answer from Brant Brown about Jordan Walker. And again, all of this from KMOX's great work yesterday on Gas House Gang, and you can read Bernie's piece on this interview, breaking down his questions, the answers, and his reaction to the questions right now on STL Sports Central. Check that out. When Jordan Walker's ready to be good, I feel like it's going to be up to him. We all know the potential. I don't even think he knows the ceiling. We always talk about this as like, okay, well, this is what they're going to do to you, and this is what you want to do. But if you can't do what you want to do, what are you going to do about it? How are we going to counterattack? For me, and Oli talks about his confidence in Jordan Walker getting to the full buy-in and things like that. To me, a lot of this does sound like a guy who is 23, and we're trying to talk about him like he's 25, because the confidence they have that he is going to figure this out is there, but it is also couched within everything we've said. He's had to change things around too much. He's been too inconsistent. The defense at times has floundered when his offense has floundered, when he's got to be consistent. He's talking about Nolan Gorman in that way. So a lot of they're talking about a young player who hasn't found the best way to be a professional yet, which shouldn't be that surprising for a guy who's only 23 years old.
And was rushed. And let's not forget that he didn't have 2020. He didn't have his draft year because of the pandemic. In 21, he was fine. In 22, he was really good at Springfield. And then in 23 is when they rushed him and screwed him over, really. And I think they did him a huge disservice by bringing him to the majors way before he was ready, offensively and defensively. But they were saying, and this goes back to Mo, hey, this is our best prospect since Tavares and Pujols, and so we're gonna bring him up. Well, they kind of thought he was Pujols, and he's not. There's only one Albert Pujols. So they bring up a guy who's not ready. And Albert Pujols and Jordan Walker, brilliant guy. But there is innate baseball IQ for some players. And Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina were both blessed with incredible innate baseball IQs. Maybe Jordan Walker just doesn't have that. Maybe he needed more time to learn things. It's kind of like me. I was never going to learn algebra, but if I ever was, it was going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight for a guy like that. And it was mentioned in Derek Gould's article, and we've mentioned it here before. Aaron Judge never swung a bat in the majors until he was 25. He was doing what Jordan Walker is doing in the majors while he was in the minor leagues. And so I think Walker's been done a great disservice. And when we hear comments like that, when we read comments like that from Brant Brown, I wonder what the overall Cardinal philosophy is. I wonder if Walker is a guy that they feel like, okay, we've done everything we can with him. We've told him what we want. We're still not getting it. We should move him. And I have fallen down on that side now. I've made my decision, regardless of what happens in the last 4 weeks of the season. I think the best thing for him and the best thing for them, if they can get good pitching out of him, is to trade him before his value diminishes to the point where he's Dylan Carlson and you get Sean Armstrong out of him. You don't want that to happen. So if he goes somewhere at the age of 24 and figures it out because an organization was able to push the right buttons with him, so be it. But I just don't think it's going to happen here. And I think those comments provide me even more evidence that it's not going to happen.
Lateralist, he is just a kid. I wish he would have been a AA for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure. At least when Nado is bad at the plate, he can lean on his offense. Walker can't do that. He's bad.
Yeah, he's, and I don't know if he's bad. I think he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think he still, like Brant Brown said, has a chance to be a good player. But I don't hear. So Jim Hanifin goes to Orlando Pace and says, "You don't make the Hall of Fame. It's your own damn fault." But that's Jim Hanifin talking to a player. All due respect to Brant Brown, he has not coached the Dan Dierdorf of baseball. He's not coached the Joe Jacoby or the Russ Grimm of baseball. He has not coached the best there ever was like Jim Hanifin did. So when Brant Brown talks about the guy's ceiling, how does he know what the ceiling is? He hasn't done it yet like Hanny did. And this is not that Brant Brown is a bad guy to do this job. I'm just saying it's one thing if McGuire, one of the great home run hitters, one of the great focused hitters of all time, goes to a player, or we talk about him and say his ceiling is unbelievable. It's just different for a guy like Brant Brown.
We've gotten a couple of these texts with the same message. Why not let Walker experiment with what he thinks he should do, and if it fails, then they can prove their point. Joe Klaus say something similar.
Yeah, I think they did that a couple of years ago, not 23 when he came up and had the 787 OPS, but it was actually they screwed him over then, and they let him sink when he hit 155 before they sent him down. But I think their philosophy then was, okay, yeah, you just be you do you, and let's see what happens. And it didn't work out very well.
We also got this from Graham. I get on the fairway every time with pocket balls. Can we incorporate this into baseball somehow?
Yes. So here's the thing. I was thinking about this. Jordan Walker needs a breakfast ball.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he needs a mulligan. There's nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, I think that's what we need to do is we need to get him a breakfast ball.
Jump into the chat. We'll be getting to all these. Your reaction to the Brant Brown comments yesterday on Jordan Walker on KMOX's Gas House Gang. Let's turn to Pajes has an OPS 80 points higher than Walker this year. If Walker has bought in, keep the receipt.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
And in fact, at this point, you're right. I really hope that this isn't him buying in. That's a really good point.
Yeah. But can I, by the way, just make one more quick point?
Of course.
Here. When I made the McGuire comp to Hanny, Mark McGuire has the 13th highest OPS in the history of the sport. Of all the players, the 23,000 guys that have played Major League Baseball, almost 24,000.
13th highest.
Mark McGuire has a career OPS of 982, just behind Randy Ramirez and Manny Ramirez, just ahead of Mike Trout, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Stan Musial, Frank Thomas, Larry Walker, Johnny Mize. Those are the guys that Mark McGuire is ahead of in OPS in history.
Good God.
Want to know the 12 guys ahead of him?
Sure.
Besides Manny? Ruth is 1, Ted Williams 2, Gehrig is 3, Oscar Charleston 4, Barry Bonds 5, Jimmy Fox 6, Turkey Stearns 7, Mule Suttles 8, Aaron Judge 9, Hank Greenberg 10, Rogers Hornsby 11, Manny Ramirez 12, Big Mac 13. So
I knew who all those people were except for 3 before I could name all the state capitals.
I think you've got some Negro leaguers in there. Negro leaguers are in there now, and that's great. I'm glad that those guys' statistics are being recognized now by Major League Baseball.
Damn
but
right.
that's not to denigrate Brant Brown. My point was that McGuire clearly knows greatness because he, as a player, he was greatness, and Brant Brown.
Oh, Glenn Ewells.
Can I do it?
Go ahead.
Oh no!
Terrible.
So you're on YouTube, okay? Just go.
Don't push them away from our show.
No, we don't want you to do that. But at some point, you need to go to Brant Brown drops ball.
Yeah, it's bad. It's hilarious, but bad.
Yeah, and look for the Ron Santo. Make sure you include Ron Santo yes. in the search.
Oh no, Glenn Ewells. I like the fact that they closed Walker's stance, but why is he standing so far away from the plate? It seems like he wouldn't be able to put the barrel on the ball. That does seem to be the issue.
The reason is because they don't want him mentally to think that he can get to that slider low and away, and that's their philosophy. That's why they have him so far away, because he gets killed. Kind of like it happened to Randall Grichuk all the time. Remember that he just could not get to that low and away slider, and he'd always swing at it. And some guys just can never get used to that. So.
Bach Hogg says, how much difference is there between batting practice and live games, though? Practice
Can we hear Pat Hughes?
Sure.
Can we hear this okay?
I think so. Sounds like somebody shot a guy. It's oh no! It sounds like somebody jumped off the 300 level.
It does not get better than
God,
Ron
that's hilarious.
Santo and Pat Hughes.
Oh no!
Oh, epic.
If you weren't able to hear it, search it. It's absolutely ridiculous and hilarious.
Ron Santo on the call was fantastic.
RDH 66, Walker versus Kurtz. Kurtz looks confident. He has a plan up there. Walker looks confused and timid.
Kurtz is a stud.
Yeah, he is.
There's a reason that there are good hitters and not good hitters. Some guys just have it, and some guys don't have it. Kurtz has it, man. He looks like a legitimate big-time hitter.
Yeah,
I don't know if he will
fantastic.
be, but it was interesting talking to Chris Carey yesterday when all the Careys, all of them. It was Chip and Chris and our buddy Stefan and Tristan, his other son. And Chris was talking about what a stud Kurtz is. Yeah, he's going to he's already really good. He's got it. We knew right away that Albert had it. Jordan Walker, he doesn't look like he has it. Now, can he develop? Yes. But right now, it doesn't look like he has the it factor.
Aaron G., I'm sure the Walker has heard the chatter blaming the Cardinal system, and it is giving him an easy excuse to be bad instead of working to be good.
No, there's no excuse to not work as hard as you can.
And I again, I think you can't assume every young player is working as hard as you expect them to, but I also think just assuming that these guys don't care about being good is also a mistake.
He wants to, and I think that Matthew, there have been so many voices in his head over the years. There isn't now. He's got Oli Marmol and he's got Brant Brown. But I think there's been a lot of voices that have confused him over the years.
Yeah.
When we talk about playing tennis, it's people different. He's playing like 1 against 4 in that tennis game because he had Jeff Albert at the beginning when Jeff Albert was overseeing the entire Cardinal system. And then he had Turner Ward, and then he had multiple assistant hitting coaches. Then I'm sure he's got a personal hitting coach, and I'm sure that Jim Edmonds talked to him when Edmonds was doing the broadcasting for the Cardinals. That's a lot of voices. And Mike Shannon always said the worst thing you can do as a hitter is go to the plate and think.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you that what he's doing is going up to the plate and thinking. You've got to be able to just react, and he's not doing that. Jordan Walker's not doing that.
Bubs, do you think their mistakes with Walker are why they haven't brought Weatherholt up?
No. Weatherholt was a college player, played 3 full years of college, different situations altogether. I think Weatherholt, and we talked to Katie Wu about this a couple days ago on Matrix Midwest. With Weatherholt, the clock starting does make a difference. And right now, the 40-man for them makes a difference. And at the moment, Nado's coming back. Victor Scott just came back off of the IL. You've got Gorman playing third. Wynn is going to play shortstop. You've already got Sajasi. You're going to have Donovan back at second base. There isn't room at the end for what they want to accomplish if they bring Weatherholt up, because he's not going to get enough at-bats. If they bring him up, they'd rather have him playing every day down there still than being up here and sitting on the bench half the time. Because you aren't going to stop playing Gorman. You aren't going to stop playing Wynn. You aren't going to stop playing Donovan. If Arenado comes back, when Arenado comes back, you're not going to sit him. So, unfortunately, we'd all like to see Weatherholt, but there just isn't room at the end.
There you go. Francis Hobbs, why aren't any key young players being extended?
They need to be. And I wonder if they're waiting for Heim to take over. Well, he should be able to determine which players are going to be with the Cardinals long-term and which players aren't. Now, he could go and make a suggestion, I guess, to John Mozeliak and say, hey, I'd like to sign this guy. But then you get into that situation where the player has to agree to an extension too. I think it'd be much cleaner if you've got one president of baseball operations that's making the decisions about the future of the franchise. And here's another part of it. If they do sign Wynn to the long-term contract, and Wynn is a player that Cardinal fans like, don't you want Bloom to get the glory? You don't want Mo to get the glory to sign a guy on his way out.
This is an interesting point because this is one of the biggest points from Bernie Mikolas' article. Again, go to STL Sports Central. You can read Bernie. He's got the full quotes from the big answers from Brant Brown and then his reaction to it. One of the things he did point out is that, and to your point, one of the names that Brant Brown does have on his resume that he helped is Albert Pujols with the Dodgers in 2021.
Yep, big time.
And to Redcon 1's point, don't forget Albert basically got BB the job when he helped Albert out back with the Dodgers, but then Albert comes back to the Cardinals. Yet Jordan won't listen. And that was one of Bernie Mikolas' big reactions. We'll talk to him on this on Friday. How is a guy who apparently was able to get through to Albert and help him shape things, how is that not a guy that if you're Jordan Walker, you're immediately putting every bit of buy-in into?
That's a great question. We know that Albert had a voracious appetite for the knowledge of hitting. He never lost that, right? He always had that. And some guys have that appetite. And some guys, I think that the Cardinals have intimated, if they haven't outright said it, if we read between the lines, I kind of think that they believe Walker still wants to go with what got him here. Albert was always willing to change. I mean, when you are willing to listen to somebody, here's another person that had the voice or the ear of Jordan Walker, is Ryan Ludwig. I mean, that ridiculous, the toe on the ground, the left toe on the ground. McGuire always said the ground is your friend. And one of the things Albert had with that wide stance and that short
all ground,
right? That short advance to the ball. He didn't spend much time off the ground. Mark didn't spend much time off the ground. And I think that would be a good way to start. I actually use it for my golf game now.
Yeah.
The ground is your friend. And I think that would be a good approach for Walker to take when he steps into the batter's box. And I know nothing about hitting, but this is just not only talking to Mark McGuire, but other people in baseball, including people with the Cardinals. They agree with the philosophy that the ground is your friend. And do you have something when you walk up to address a golf ball that's the first thing you tell yourself?
I should have a better mental thought process about it. That's probably one of my issues.
So I learned this a couple of years ago from Nancy Lopez. Her dad always told her, whatever you do, make good contact. So the first thing I tell myself is, okay, read Callaway on the ball and make good contact. Now, I don't always, but that's my mental approach. And one of the other things I tell myself is the ground is your friend. So I try to keep my feet on the ground. Don't always do it, but I at least reference it in my address. And I think that'd be a good thing for any hitter, Jordan Walker included, to address is the ground is your friend. Start with something like that.
I agree with you 100% on that one. Let's turn to how about a trade to the Yanks? They reboot him next year in their system at AAA. Then as a 25-year-old, full go with Judge as his mentor. Terrell Whitener also jumps in and says, I agree, Randy. Get someone else's project and trade ours. I hope he's not here next year.
A trade to the Yankees would be interesting because I wonder if he would, if Jordan Walker would utilize the private hitting coach of Aaron Judge, Teacher Man, who's right here.
That'd be ironic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He goes to New York to work with a guy in St. Louis.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something? So, and I think that would be, I know a lot of people can take or leave Richard Schenk, the personal hitting coach who's here in St. Louis, in St. Peter's, of Aaron Judge. But at this point, it can't hurt. And by the way, we had that previous chatter that wondered why Oli was allowing a player not to give 100%. You can't control what the player is doing before he gets to the ballpark. The Cardinals wish that he would do his homework.
Carlos Martinez. Carlos Martinez.
You can't make a player do stuff when he's away from the ballpark. And Walker is in all the hitting meetings. They just want him to apply himself a little bit more in knowing the pitchers, which I don't think is too much to ask and would probably make him better. But I don't think that's an Oli Marmol thing. I think that all you can do is say, hey, this would be a good idea for you. This will make you a better player. But you can't say you have to go home and you have to study all these relievers and then there's going to be a test when you get here. It just doesn't work that way. You don't give homework in Major League Baseball, unfortunately.
You don't give homework in Major League Baseball? Come on now. Yeah. They're not Jamarcus Russelling this whole thing where they get back the iPad and it hasn't been opened at all.
Right. Or Kyler Murray or
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. Yeah. Kyler playing video games.
Yeah, you're right. Dave Price comes in here from the Facebook. Walker's failure to develop is one of many disappointments. I'm amazed the team has won as many games as it had with bad starting rotation and below average offense. Maybe the manager's good. Are you surprised that the team is as competitive as it has been, despite being very boring to watch? And what do you attribute the record to this season?
All right. I said this yesterday. If somebody would have told me that on September 2nd, the Cardinals would be 3 games under 500. If they would have told me that at the beginning of spring training, I would have taken that a million times. I would have taken being only 3 games under on September 2nd. So yes, I am surprised that the team has been as competitive as it has been. There are a lot of things that we can attribute their record to. And I would suggest number one has been the bullpen. Even the bullpen of late since the trade deadline has been really good. And even though the work hasn't been great out of the starting rotation, for a long time, you were getting 500 work out of Palante and Mikolas, and you were getting way better work out of Sonny Gray.
And Matthew Liberatore.
Yeah, and Liberatore was around 500. If you would have not had Eric Fetty all year and had Michael McGreevy performing the way he has performed all year long, you'd be a wild card team right now. So that's what I attribute it to. It's that they've had an interesting and fortuitous confluence of pitching that was there when you needed it, and then really good years out of Brendan Donovan and Burleson. Mason Wynn has been there a lot, not every single day, but he's been there a lot. Contreras has been great for the most part. They've had a lot of good things. I know there's a lot of things that haven't been great, but there's a lot of good things that 2025 has brought the Cardinals.
Couple of chats here. Namu in the loop. I'm excited to see what Heim does to fix this mess. Keep Mason and JJ. Everyone else is available. It seems to be a hardcore look at it, but hell, why not? I also want to.
I would not move Donovan. I would not move Burleson. I would not move Herrera. Now, other people, I would, and I think I don't think they're as far away as that. So if I have a continuing to ascend Gorman and Wynn and Donovan and Contreras, I'm okay with that infield. And then Herrera in left, I'm okay with. I need more offense out of the rest of the outfield. Burleson maybe in right, and then figure out who your DH is going to be. And I don't know what you do about center field. Nobody thinks that Victor Scott II is a bad player. Everybody that I talk to thinks that Victor Scott has tremendous upside. He just hasn't shown it on a consistent basis yet. I don't know because I don't think they're planning on winning a division next year. Maybe you give Scott even more runway next year. Or maybe you do what we have suggested, which would be smart because we just talked about the infield, right? If your infield is Gorman, Wynn, Donovan, Contreras. You know where I'm going here, don't you?
No, of course I know where you're going here.
Put J.J. Weatherholt in center field.
There it is. He's a great athlete.
He is.
I've been told.
Yeah. So why not give him an opportunity to play center field? And then you'd have to run a lot between Herrera and Burleson, but it'd be fun.
He might not have the arm for center fielder, but I mean, if John Jay can play center field,
he had a 50 arm.
Did he have a 50 arm? I thought that is that the.
I think when I looked at the scouting report and compared him to
really,
Corbin Carroll,
I guess
it was the scouting reports for he and Carroll were almost identical.
That surprised me because I've just been reading that they don't know if he projects well at third base. And he's definitely an athlete, so I feel like if there's anything that's going to hold him back from being a third baseman, it would be the arm strength. You know what?
How many times are you going to worry about the arm strength of your center fielder?
Not very often. Again, John Jay started in center field for multiple years. People bitched about his arm strength all the time, and it factored into a play every couple of weeks.
Yeah, so it's awesome to have Jim Edmonds, but if you don't. And you know what? After the 7th inning, if Weatherholt isn't great defensively in center field, you put Scott in there.
This is an important one I want to get to because Mike Kennedy, I don't know if it's the same one, common name, but still, let me know if this is true. But Mike Kennedy jumped into the chat yesterday on Facebook.
Okay.
Now
good.
we have a Mike Kennedy
Hi, Mike.
and now we have a Mike Kennedy jumping in the chat on YouTube. So, Mike, if you are in fact the same Mike from yesterday and you switched from Facebook to YouTube, I want to give you a big round of applause because that's what we want people to do. Get involved any way you can, but obviously we like to have a lot more fun on the YouTube because you can see everybody's chats. They can see your chats, not just the ones we put on the screen like we do for the YouTube. But here's what Mike Kennedy's saying. The Cardinals are encouraging Walker to stand far away from the plate because of the fear of a slider. That is ridiculous advice. Is he going to be an MLB hitter or not?
I don't know. I will give them, like I said, I don't know anything about hitting. So I'm going to give a major league manager who was a longtime minor league instructor and manager and a guy who was a major league hitter, I'm going to give them more leeway than I'll give myself in regards to knowing hitting. So I don't know the answer to the question, but I'm not going to say that they're wrong and I'm right, because I just don't. I'll admit to you, I don't know enough about hitting to be able to say that that's right or wrong. I know Steve Garvey had a pretty good career being way off the plate, and I know he was vulnerable to some sliders on the outside part, on the outside corner, but it's hard to throw a pitch right there. Did you realize that? And I never realized this, and I got to talk to Mike Matheny and some other catchers about this. The average miss of a major league pitcher is 8 to 12 inches. The plate is 18 inches wide. And so I heard this on MLB Network Radio. I don't remember which catcher they were talking to, but they said the average miss of a major league pitcher is 8 to 12 inches.
See, I was going to guess that quote was just from Emmanuel Clase last night.
Wow. So, poor Emmanuel.
By the way, just a little thing, 100% on purpose. Absolutely 100% on purpose, right? He's lying. Like
you're talking about Valdez.
Sorry, not Clase. Sorry, I have him in my mind because he's suspended. Sorry, Framber Valdez. That was
100%.
Yes, 100%. When he hits his catcher because his catcher tells him step off the mound, he gives up the grand slam. He 100% hit his catcher there. Sorry, Framber Valdez. My apologies. I got ridiculous pitchers stuck on the brain. Graham, I wanted to get into this, so I'm glad Graham is jumping into it. And in fact, he was about 10 minutes ago. Do you guys think Gorman is close to forcing the Arenado issue? Still confused on how that situation will play out. So, Arenado is potentially returning at the same time where Gorman's offense, or at least his approach to the plate, and his defensive approach are finally kind of to mesh at a point you want them to. So he is kind of forcing the conversation even more so than he was 2 weeks ago. Now, 2 weeks ago, I was very staunchly play Nolan Gorman the rest of the season. I'm sorry, Arenado. Do you think he's fortunate enough for that to be a reality?
Not really, because I don't think it has anything to do with baseball. If everything else was equal, the Cardinals would probably move on from Nolan Arenado. But because of the money he's due, I think that he'll be here and he'll play. Hey, one guy is going to play next year at age 34. One guy is going to play next year at age 25 for a good portion of the season. One guy has a chance to get better. One guy doesn't. And when you're a team that is rebuilding, I'll take the guy that has a chance to get better rather than the guy who probably is not going to get any better. So yes, under ordinary circumstances, everything else being equal, Gorman would be pushing Arenado. But under these circumstances, no. And by the way, I want to go back to the Derek Gould piece this morning at stltoday.com talking about Walker. An example of a change Walker has made at the plate is setting his feet farther away from it. One goal of that is to help him avoid the low and outside breaking balls that pitchers lure him into chasing. So that's the thought process. Another is to clear the area over the plate for his size and swing, for his comfort, and so he can use his quote-unquote superpower, getting a pitch at the front of the plate and drilling it instead of bunching his hands in to still connect with it. So they want him to extend his arms, basically, is what they're saying when they ask him to be off the plate a little bit.
Eric Tuttle jumping in there. We were just talking about this, but another one, is it time to lock Wynn in on a long-term contract? I don't know in any way, shape, or form how this isn't the right time to lock him in on a long-term contract. Everything lines up to this is when you lock a guy in.
Yep. And they probably should have done it earlier.
Yeah. Before he became the best defensive player in baseball? Yeah, it probably helps.
Because he's probably, if they would have done it last year, they probably could have saved a lot of money. But this team, and hopefully this will change with Chaim Bloom, they chase a lot. They're behind a lot. And you can go back a long ways to getting behind in regards to baseball and having so many organizations pass them. But they don't move young players through the organization fast enough. You have to make quick decisions and evaluate quickly these days. Otherwise, you wind up with 47 guys eligible to be taken in the Rule 5 draft, and you have to cut 6 or 7 guys that you kind of like. And that's one of the issues. Obviously, these young players, you've got a group of them that are probably going to wind up heading into arbitration at the same time. That's going to screw you over, because arbitration, I guarantee you, for 3 or 4 of these guys is going to wind up being more expensive for the Cardinals than had they given them the long-term contract.
100%. Absolutely. And again, there's also my thing is also new Pobo. Mm-hmm. All the bad blood's gone. That record of never signing anybody after they make an arbitration decision, or after a player loses an arbitration to you, you can move past that. And the worst thing to do would be to potentially set yourself up with a second round of arbitration against Donovan and immediately start that cycle again of pissing players off in arbitration and hurting yourself by not being able to trade them or not being able to work with them in the future.
And alarmingly, we will find out whether or not that is a Mo philosophy or an ownership philosophy. But there is no player, even if they win their arbitration, that is going to be happy after an arbitration hearing, because they go into the hearing and they got to be there and they get ripped by the organization. They get told how bad they are because the team's trying to beat them in arbitration. And one of the things, if you've never heard this, it's almost unbelievable, but they told Brendan Donovan during the first 3 years of his career, hey, if you show versatility, if you can play second, third, short, left field, DH, that's going to make you more valuable. That's going to make you a player that is more desirable. Then they get into arbitration, and as legend has it, the Cardinals say, yeah, but he's not an everyday player. He's just a utility guy. All he does is play a bunch of different positions. He goes, Lucky, didn't you say I'd be more valuable if I played it up a bunch? He didn't ask that, but he was stunned by the fact that the Cardinals tried to use his versatility against him after they had told him they wanted him to be versatile.
And so here's the thing. The only reason that the Cardinals go to arbitration with Brendan Donovan this year is because they plan on trading him. And because they realize that if they go to arbitration, he's going to end up with a contract like $6 million, maybe a little bit higher. I doubt it'll be much more than that, because $6 million would be over doubling. I believe his last arbitration number was like just around $3 million this year. So like, let's say it's a $6 million number. If you're the Cardinals and you get that, all of a sudden he is one of the most tradable players in Major League Baseball. He's a Gold Glove second baseman who can hit over 280 with a 750 plus OPS, and he's only going to cost you $6 million. He becomes extremely tradable. But again, the only reason to do that is because he becomes extremely tradable.
And what did the Dodgers give Edman? Because he's a better player than Edman.
Yeah.
And so if you're going, you could sign him to actually, he's probably looking for an Edman contract, or a little bit more than Edman got. So if the Cardinals move him, can almost guarantee that the team that gets him will sign him to an extension. Hey, Missouri, if you're in the middle of the state, or Missouri, if you're on the edge of the state, get ready. The wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets. That's $300 in bonus bets when DraftKings launches in Missouri on December 1st. Download now and place a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when they go live on December 1st. That's code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
As someone who talks too fast, incredible job on that. I
need to do better.
That was good. I wanted to hit one thing. For you, Mama, sent us a text earlier where she was talking about how I really like old man Albert Pujols' Brant Brown swing, because his first stint Cardinals swing was inhuman. And yet his post Brant Brown swing felt like something that was actually replicable by other baseball players. And I think that's a very interesting point. Also, Mike Kennedy says, same Mike Kennedy. All right, this is big. I love this, because this is what you guys need to do. If you're watching on the Facebook, it's a great way to watch it. We're going to put it up on Facebook and everything like that. But getting on YouTube is just a lot better. It makes your comments easier to see. You can see everybody else's comments. You can see where the conversation is going. You can get involved. It's more of a community here on the YouTube side. And so that's why we love it when a guy like Mike, who's commenting on Facebook one day, literally the next day is on the YouTube. Love it. Great job, Mike.
All right. Charlie Smith, Walker is running out of time with the Cardinals. I don't disagree with that at all. And there was one other one here that I wanted to get. It was about ownership here. And I don't know. Somebody said that here it is. Due to playoff expansion, the Cardinals will sneak in every so often, even if ownership isn't great. That is from our friend Lex Luthor. Don't tell that to Pirate fans. Even if don't tell that to Reds fans that you sneak in, even if your ownership isn't so great. That is not a guarantee that you're going to sneak in every so often. I think we're kind of spoiled by the Cardinals. Even when they're bad, they're okay and they're good enough. But there's a lot of franchises out there over the years that have not made the playoffs for a long time, despite the fact that they have bad ownership. So I would not take the competitiveness of the Cardinals for granted. I think that is a very short-sighted view. I think we should kind of feel pretty good about the fact that since the DeWitt ownership took over, there have been a lot of playoff teams. Now, have they done it right in the last few years? No. Did they get passed up by other teams? Yes. But at least they recognized that. I mean, you look at a franchise like the Pirates, and I think Ben Cherington, their GM, has been there for like 6 years, and they're still the exact same. When you look at the Miami Marlins, for years and years, same ownership, but they never get any better. The Marlins, since they came into the league in 1993, for a long time, I think they've had 4 winning seasons since 1993. And for a long time, the only times they had made the playoffs, they had won the World Series. Otherwise, they had abysmal seasons. I look at Colorado. Colorado isn't sneaking into the playoffs anytime soon. So I disagree with that assessment that just because you're a major league team, doesn't matter how good or bad your ownership is, you're going to make the playoffs. I think for the Cardinals to be at 500 right now is actually rather remarkable when you think about the good players they've lost and the lack of stars that they have. The Cardinals right now, who's their star player? If you vote for an all-star game without requiring a player to be on your team, who is the Cardinals Donovan this year?
Yeah.
If there's a vote for an all-star team and there isn't a requirement on a 32-man roster for one team to be represented, Cardinals don't get a guy.
And that would be the case probably, 3 out of the last 6 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because obviously Goldschmidt and Arenado in those years would have been locked in, but there was a couple years there.
Yeah. I think, let's see, Helsley probably in 24, right? 22, 21, 20, 21, 22, both Arenado and Goldie. 20, Goldie definitely would have been. 23 would have been, that was on the heels of Goldie being the MVP and Arenado being second in MVP.
Well, here's the thing. So last year was Helsley. Mm-hmm. The year before that, in 2023, was only Nolan Arenado.
Okay.
2019 was just Paul DeJong.
Yes, 2019.
So there are 4 years going back.
And they went to the NLCS that year, right?
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. In 6 years, out of the last 6 All-Star games, the Cardinals have 3 with only one player appearing.
And how many of those guys are still on the roster?
Paul DeJong?
No, not on this.
Nolan Arenado, yes. Ryan Helsley, and Brendan Donovan. So two of the 4.
Yeah. And right now, those 2 are not playing.
But if you look at the rest of the All-Stars in 2021, they had 3. In 2022, they had 5 All-Stars. Yadier Molina, Alex Reyes, Paul Goldschmidt, Albert Pujols. Four of their 7 All-Stars in 2021 and 2022 are all off the roster. The 3 who are on the roster are Nolan Arenado twice and Miles Mikolas.
Isn't that wild? That's amazing.
The fact that Mikolas was an All-Star.
Lex Luthor, the face of the team is still Pujols, like the face of the Bulls is still Michael Jordan.
Oh, come on. That's a one way to look at it.
Nationally, though, who is the face of the Cardinals?
There are no national faces of baseball.
I mean,
there are no national faces of baseball teams.
That's the thing. But for baseball fans nationally, if you go to baseball fans and say, name a Cardinal for me, probably most of them do say Albert Pujols.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I don't think that's necessarily wrong.
Michael Telemark, a couple weeks ago, I was getting excited about Gorman, but the last week or so, he started to look like the inconsistent player he is. So I think they should move on.
Yeah, never judge a player based on a week. And you can go back through Baseball Reference, go back and look through any of Albert Pujols' MVP seasons, and he has bad weeks or bad 2-week stretches. I am more inclined to look at a bigger sample size than just a week, and you just can't move on from a player. You shouldn't move on from a player because he has a bad week or 10 days. That's just not reasonable to expect greatness all the time.
Also, let's rephrase this Nolan Gorman conversation alongside everything we've just been talking about with Jordan Walker. Everything about Jordan Walker has been he's not working through the approach enough. He's not doing the work. Mm-hmm. Say what you will about Nolan Gorman this year, but in every way, shape, and form, both offensively and in the last 2 months defensively, he's putting in the work. Mm-hmm. He completely changed his approach to the plate to the point that he's now one of the highest amount of walks in Major League Baseball going back to the end of June. That is a guy who's putting in the work at his approach at the plate. And then he says, okay, I'll play third base because I've always been a third baseman, but give me a little time to dial this in. And to Randy's point about his defense, the defense has gotten better. So again, this is his approach, and the work ethic is there from Nolan Gorman. All you have to do is eventually wait for him to figure out. All he has to do is eventually figure out how to put everything together. You know, the approach is there at the plate. How can he speed the bat back up to get it where he needs to be? That's the big question.
Gorman, since June 3rd, 61 games, 12 homers, 6 doubles, so 18 extra base hits, 761 OPS. And you'd hope it to get better. You'd hope that slug would be better than just 437 in those. Let's see, he's played 61 games in that time. So you'd hope that that'll get better. But again, he's 25 years old. And in that time, by the way, he did have an injury. I think he had a back. I don't know how long he dealt with that.
About a week back.
Okay, there you go. So thank you. I have confidence. I like what I see from him. The walk rate, top 10% in the league. Has a good approach at the plate. So I'm willing to take another year's look at Nolan Gorman, especially if you can find a way to not have Nolan Arenado here and just say, okay, you're our guy, you're our third baseman, and let's just see what happens. I
just don't know how people can see a guy clearly making adjustments at the professional level and say, nah, I'm out, and not give any more time when the ceiling and the potential is undoubtedly there. Like you can it's so easy just to tangibly see how different of a hitter Nolan Gorman is at the place than he was last year. And yes, I'm acknowledging the fact that the power numbers aren't there, the bat speed isn't there. All of these things are true. But we know he has the talent to bring those things as a major league player. So as we give him the time now in the offseason to say, this is my approach to the plate. This is how I see pitching. This is how I approach pitching. Now he can go into the offseason and say, I know how to approach pitchers. Now within my approach, how do I dial back in some of those, higher torque elements that I was taking away so I could figure things out? He's doing what we've been complaining about for the last decade across Carlos Martinez, Alex Reyes, and now Tink Hence. Pull it back, get more control, and then use your power when you should utilize it. Nolan Gorman's doing what we finally have been asking power pitchers to be doing in this organization that they've never done. He's just doing it with power hitting.
And let's kind of reverse engineer too. Why are the Cardinals not good right now? Why are they not a contender? Because they didn't give enough of an opportunity, because they didn't want to look long and hard enough at people like Zach Gallen and Sandy Alcantara and Randy Arozarena and Adolis Garcia and several other players that are in Major League Baseball right now or have been over the last several years that the Cardinals moved on from because they became impatient with them. Impatience is why the Cardinals are where they are right now. And in their market, because they are not going to sign the big money free agents. We know that, right? They aren't going to give anybody $300 million that's coming from the outside. They aren't going to sign anybody to 10-year contracts because, as Bill DeWitt Jr. has told me, the back end of those don't work out. And the Cardinals are concerned about that. So if we know that the Cardinals aren't going to sign the guy to the big contract, they aren't signing any Sotos or Otanis. They aren't going to sign any Zach Wheelers. So what do you have to do? You have to develop young players. How do you develop young players? You look at them and you give them opportunity. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. But I'm telling you, the only way under the current system for the Cardinals to have a competitive chance is to observe, evaluate, and nurture young players and get them to the majors and get them to be good players. And you can't have really good pitchers and really good hitters floating around baseball because you didn't give them enough of an opportunity. That's why they are where they are. I guarantee you, if the Cardinals trade Nolan Gorman and trade Brendan Donovan and move on from a young pitcher like Palante, people will be pissed off that the Cardinals traded him. And that is no way to go through an existence, is to keep trading people like Garrett Cole or Joe Musgrove or when they did it, Andrew McCutchen. It's just not a good business. I don't see any good business in sports in trading away good players.
Exactly. And to Michael's point here, he says, I just feel like we've given Gorman enough time. Isn't this his third year now? How long does he need? You got to step away from arbitrary numbers. I don't care that it's his third year. I care about the reality and the process of what he is as a baseball player right now. And in his third full year, he's trying to become and has become a better hitter at the plate and a more professional hitter at the plate than he was prior to this. And as I say, step away from the age, step away from those things, and just look at here's the thing. If you're the Cardinals, why would I not give up on him now? Why do I not care that it's his third year? How long does he need? Well, he made $700,000 this year. He's got 3 more years of arbitration before he hits unrestricted free agent, which means he's cheap. It doesn't cost me anything to keep on giving Nolan Gorman chances. But if he keeps showing that he's a professional player and he can get better, there's no reason for me to give up on him because he doesn't cost me anything. If he goes to arbitration next year after a big year, yeah, then the conversation is going to change. But at that point, now he's having a big year. It's all gravy, baby. So there's no reason to move on from him because it doesn't cost you anything. He's showing you more and he's growing this year. If he hadn't grown at all this year and he was 25 years old and maybe this was his arbitration 2 season instead, yeah, we'd be having completely different conversations. But he's improved as a hitter. He's been more professional, and you got him locked up for 3 more years at dirt cheap pricing. So he's here.
Gorman hit 27 homers in 406 at-bats 2 years ago. 27 homers. And you get to 500, that projects out to 30 home runs. Who in the Cardinal organization right now, anywhere in the organization, can you project to be a 30 home run hitter? Maybe Herrera? I don't know. The numbers have never shown that, but maybe Herrera. Contreras has never done it. Walker certainly doesn't look like that guy. Not going to be Victor Scott. Burleson is a 20 to 25 home run guy. Brendan Donovan's not a 30 home run guy. Maybe Jimmy Crooks. I don't know. Well, the one guy that I know can do it because he virtually has is Nolan Gorman. In a game that's all about power, hitting for power and pitching for power, Nolan Gorman is the one guy that I see in the entire organization right now, maybe short of Liam Doyle, who plays the 2025, 2026 baseball game. I don't see anybody else in the organization that's healthy right now that's playing that game. And Nado is not that guy anymore. He's not a 30 home run guy anymore. Tink Hence, power pitcher when he's healthy, but not there yet. So to play the 2025 game, the power game, you want to get rid of one of the 3 or 4 maximum guys in the organization that's capable of playing that game?
And again, there's no risk to keeping him. Like, there is no risk. If he doesn't work out and you're like, well, what do we do with our infield next year? Well, that's why you got JJ Weatherholt. Now you don't have to worry about moving him to center field. It's even better. Credit now to Bill Schaefer as well. Just made the switch from YouTube from Facebook. Thank you, Bill. Good job, Bill. Does that mean I'm working harder on improving my game than Walker is on his? Yeah, it does. That's exactly what it means. I'm sorry to say from Mr. Walker, but credit to you, Bill. That's exactly what it means.
Okay, so here's another thing. For the golfers that are here on YouTube with us, and Matthew is a golfer, but I would have to guess that Rob Manfred works harder on his golf game. We've seen it than Jordan Walker's working on his baseball game.
Oh, no.
Right? as a golfer.
You told me not to. You told me to never. I forgot that picture of Rob Manfred because you told me it was stupid to think about it.
It just came back now, right?
Damn it!
Because he's working harder on his game. And what I said was, for those that complained about,
so that
Rob
was
Manfred
during
practicing. It was during
the lockout. Yeah, during the lockout.
And it might have been right at the end of the lockout.
Yes, it
but
was.
There's a shot of him practicing his golf swing, which we all do. Anybody who plays golf does that.
I got to stay inside more.
And I said that. I said, we all do that. Well,
inside.
This is a point where he's working on his game, and Jordan Walker isn't. That's all I'm saying. And I do. I have I think everybody who knows me that's viewing right now or listening right now, you know that I kind of think about golf. So, yeah. So I could legitimately say, based on Brant Brown's comments yesterday to the Gas House Gang on KMOX, Bernie, Aki, Chris Ranji, who I've worked with all of them. I've been around, I think that
threw a phone at one of them.
Yeah.
Threw a phone at one of them.
Oh yeah, true. So anyway, I think that I can legitimately say, based on Brown's comments, that I'm working harder on my golf game than Jordan Walker's working on his baseball.
To your point, Eric Cleveland says, for a team that struggles with slug, they have to keep Jordan around. Yeah, it's such a huge aspect of everything. And I just don't know why you would risk it. Your mama, I think it was D-Row on MLB Network that he said he went up to bat singing Journey in his head. Jordan should just try that. Like the kid from Hardball. I love it when they call me Big.
I like that.
I have that. Yeah, Keanu Reeves and everybody in the dugout doing the big Papa dance for him to keep him calm during the game. God, people, you know what? We were talking about this earlier with Cam about movies that make you cry.
By the way,
Hardball, you monsters.
Oh, you did. So Brian's song.
That every flipping time. I love Brian Piccolo. Oh,
okay.
Me too, Gail.
So in a different way, and this is 1,000 times. When Roy Hobbs hits the home run at the end, I get misty-eyed every single time at the Natural.
Which is it when the lights explode?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It should be. It should be. That should be when you get teary-eyed.
Yeah. There's a few out there. Yeah, that Marley and me. Anytime a dog dies. Yes. I hadn't thought about that one until you guys reminded me of Hardball. Man, that one gets me every time. I've watched Hardball 3 times in my life because there was a point in my life where I decided I don't ever need to see G-Baby die again. Like I never need to subject myself emotionally to that. Like if I need to cry, that's a good scene that'll immediately have me tear jerking it. But yeah, I don't need to do that one. I love that movie, but oh God, I can always forget how sad that movie is. Okay, when Roy Kent walks on the pitch to start coaching. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Craig, a little honesty. I like that. There we go. A little post-2020 television to make you cry. All right.
Who was the one when the kid died of bee stings? I don't know.
Oh, God.
Do you know this?
Yes. It's the scene of the girl running up to the casket and screaming he has to have his glasses. He can't see without his glasses. Oh, rip my flipping heart out of my chest. Oh, that it's the comment. It's not the fact that he dies of the beast. It's the little girl. He can't see without his glass. I
don't know. This could be Ben. I don't watch movies where the dog dies. They made us watch a movie in grade school called Old Yeller.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember Old Yeller.
So how can you make a group of grade school kids?
You had to watch Old Yeller at school?
Yeah, they made us watch it in like 3rd or 4th grade.
No.
It was awful.
You can't do that at school. That's too many kids crying at once.
I know. That's like terrible. I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
That's like turning on the Iron Giant in school. It's not going to work.
Oh, my girl. There you go.
My girl. God, that's I can't do it. Yeah. This could be Ben. He can't see. Yeah. It's those moments when people die. It's never the death that gets me. It's somebody's reaction that is just so perfectly human and ridiculous that I'm like, God, you're going to get me every time on this one.
So I got a thing for you guys. We're going to get into a couple of other things, and we want to keep chatting here because it's all great. But I want to, because you aren't old enough to remember, but you might have seen the video. 30 years ago today, the Rams played their first game as the St. Louis Rams in Green Bay. And Isaac Bruce in the second quarter scoreless game blocks a punt, last special teams play of his career. And then on the very next play, catches a touchdown pass, 23-yard touchdown pass from Chris Miller. And the St. Louis Rams win the game. And Todd Light, Nelly gets credit for this, but it's not right. And I talked to Todd Light about this last year. Todd Light, after the game, tells Jim Thomas of the Post-Dispatch, we're excited about getting back to the Lou. The Lou was invented by Todd Light, former Rams cornerback, after that first game as the St. Louis Rams in Green Bay. So, Nelly, love ya, but Todd Light came up with it.
30 years ago today.
30 years ago today. And
wow.
This is the 10th year that franchise will have been gone from St. Louis. 10th season away from St. Louis. Isn't that amazing? You're kind of sad now. But, man, Isaac, and Isaac is still one of our favorites. Isaac is such a spectacular human being. But, man, I think it might be on Reddit where you can find the video of Bruce with the block, the punt, and the touchdown. What a great player, and what a great time that was. They started off 5-1. They wound up going 7-9 that first year, but that was a fun time when the Rams moved here. And so amazing, because it feels like maybe last year that I was watching that game on TV. Kenny Albert was doing the play-by-play 30 years ago today. Unbelievable.
So I watched the Kelsey documentary. It's just about Jason.
Yeah,
I watched that. And man, Randy, I know this sounds really selfish, but like I'm watching. First of all, an incredible documentary. It's so cool to watch the family react to things. I was close to letting the last 20 minutes get me going because his daughters at the Super Bowl are so funny. It's the cutest thing in the world. Yeah. But there was a part of me that did that was selfishly thinking oh yeah. And this reminds me almost every time. It's why I'm really bad at getting into the storylines around the Super Bowl every year. The Blues winning the Stanley Cup was a lot of fun. The Cardinals winning another World Series would be a lot of fun. Covering a run by St. Louis City to a championship would be crazy. I'm never going to feel that feeling that was at the end of that Kelsey documentary ever again.
Right.
The one team that I was going to feel that way when they won championships was the St. Louis Rams. That
was the worst part of them leaving, because that was your own team. That was my son Patrick's own team. That was people that grow up. Because that was the Cardinals were my team like that, and I thought they were going to be here forever until that scoundrel Kroenke took them away.
It's until we get another football team, it's never going to hit that way for any other team in my life. I got sad because I've done it before. This isn't the first time I've realized this in the last 10 years, but every time I do, that's the part that gets me the most, is that this extra tier of emotion that you can't naturally unlock. Something has to happen to you to unlock it. And I'm not saying I won't feel it when I have kids or when I get married. It'll unlock an upper tier of emotion that I'm not prepared for. I've never felt before, but championships do that as well. And when you see fan bases that is their team, when you see Eagles fans, and you know that even more so than the Phillies, even more so than the Flyers, that's even Sixers, that's their team. Yeah. I'm never going to have that again. And man, it made me so sad.
And here's the thing, because to your point, even if a franchise would move to St. Louis, if the Jaguars who are getting a new stadium, they're moving to St. Louis, but if a franchise would move to St. Louis, I could never make the emotional investment like I made in the Cardinals as a kid, but even the Rams, because I was, I tried really hard to get to know the people that helped bring them here. I was totally invested. And because what I know now about the NFL, I'm like you, I could never make that sort of emotional investment again. By the way, Patrick Toohey chats in, he says, if not for Miller's concussions, those 1995 Rams might have been a wild card team. You are so right. And Miller gets knocked out for the last time. Game in New York against the Jets. Vincent Smith, head-to-head, linebacker for the Jets, head-to-head, knocks him out of the game. Mark Rippon comes into the game, gets into the huddle, and says, and Mark Rippon was a super religious guy, he'd won a Super Bowl with the Redskins in 1991. So this is 1995. And he comes in, gets in the huddle, and he says, we're going to knock that MFer's knee out later, but right now we're going to go down and score. Yeah, and so everybody was really fired up, and then I think he threw an interception. But the drama would have been awesome if they would have gone down and scored and then knocked out Vincent Smith's knees.
I had no idea that the 95 season was so affected by Fred Miller's concussions. That's
Chris Miller.
Or Chris Miller, sorry.
Yeah, no, he was a really good player. So when the Cardinals left after the 1987 season, their last year here was 1987, the first round draft choice was a quarterback by the name of Kelly Stauffer, who's on ESPN now from Colorado State. That was the one where I think it was Tom Wheatley, or maybe it was Kevin Horrigan, when they drafted Kelly Stauffer, said, "Oh my God, they drafted a girl," because the Cardinal drafts were always so unpredictable. But the guy they should have taken rather than Kelly Stauffer was Chris Miller from Oregon. He was going to be good, and he actually did lead the Falcons to the playoffs, then came to the Rams, and in LA the year before, 1994, suffered a concussion, couldn't remember his way home after the game, had to call his wife and ask for directions as to how to get home. That's how severe his concussion issues were. So sad. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there for you, the 30 years ago today. And then we also, I know you wanted to bring up Kawhi Leonard. This is great.
Yes. So this comes from, as usual, some incredible reporting from Pablo Torre Finds Out, who got their hands on some exclusive documents about Kawhi Leonard's, post-retirement plans, I guess is how we could put it, because he signed a $28 million endorsement deal for a quote-unquote no-show job with a tree planting company. Hey, get your money the way you need to get your money, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it must be a great company to work for.
Except one issue, which is, based on the reporting here from Pablo Torre Finds Out, it appears that the tree planting company is fraudulent, is owned by Clippers owner Steve Ballmer based on a $50 million purchase or basically like a credit deal. And he doesn't have to show up. And the inside source that Pablo Torre Finds Out says, quote unquote, it was to circumvent the salary cap, which seems a little sketchy and might be something the NBA wants to hit him for.
I would think that would cause major problems. And I wonder if the other owners let you stay in the league. Now, they have already kicked out one Clippers owner in the past, right? Do the other owners, when you so blatantly circumvent the cap, do they let you stay in the league when you've done something like that?
They let you stay in the league, but they usually fine you and knock you out pretty good. Joe Smith with the Minnesota Timberwolves in 1999, they did some chicanery where it was a public contract of like X over X, but it was a secret deal that was going to give him more money than was reported. The NBA took away 5 first-round draft picks and fined them $3.5 million, which was a league record at the time. So something similar to that would make a lot of sense, I'd think.
Yeah. Interesting.
I did think one of the funny comments under Pablo Torre's tweet from Todd Furman was, it's impressive to have 2 jobs that pay so well they don't require you to show up regularly. Because Kawhi Leonard, as we know, has had a lot of injury issues in his career.
True. They let him live in San Diego and play in LA. And if he wants to take a couple days off in San Diego, they say fine.
So, yeah, this is going to be something. Here's the thing. Steve Ballmer is the richest owner in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And they love doing that stuff. They love it when you're rich. They love when you bring money to their league. But when you start trying to screw over the league, something tells me that all 29 owners get together and have no problem with telling the richest one, hey, you're going to knock that shit out right now.
Yeah.
Because also he's one of the richest owners. And for me, I don't know it off the top of my head, but if I had to guess based on just how the salary cap now works in the NBA, they're circumventing the salary cap to circumvent the luxury tax.
There you go. Yeah. Right.
Because based on this, they have they're $50 million over the cap. They have $1.27 million before they hit the first apron on the tax, and $13 million before they hit the second apron. So this is dodging the luxury tax, which up as you get for more years. The first year, I think you only pay 25 cents on the dollar for every dollar. But if you're in the luxury tax for multiple years in a row, like the Warriors were, eventually you get to the point where you're paying dollar for dollar over the tax. So, yeah, it's pretty obvious what happened.
We could get gigs with that tree company?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's a valuable thing. Lex Luthor, the NBA and Silver won't punish Ballmer and the Clippers. Ballmer has more money than every other owner combined. Plus, the All-Star game is at Intuit Dome. That's how much the league likes the Clippers. Yeah, they like the money and they like him. Did you hear, by the way, or have you seen that for entrance into Clippers games, you don't use tickets, it's facial recognition?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't like that.
Why?
Because it's part of a larger scheme that they have complete control over everything you do inside their arena. And so if they don't like the sign that you have, they don't like that you are cheering a certain way, they make the rules, zoom in on you and kick you out pretty fairly. Facial recognition is a bad thing in this country, and I don't think we should be promoting it.
You know, they're using it for the company called Clear to get through, to circumvent the TSA lines. There's a clear that you use facial recognition for.
I have that.
I do too, and
I kind of regret it. I should have just done TSA. I should have just done TSA pre-check, but you have to go to the TSA office weeks ahead of time and things like that. Again, you're not wrong that they're the richest. He's the richest owner, but I'm feeling this is something that the other 29 owners aren't going to be happy about.
Right?
Why would they suspend Kawhi? He didn't You offer me money, I'm going to sign it. You're the one committing the fraudulent by hiding where the money's coming from. I'm just signing the deal.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and he barely plays anyway. That's exactly right. So yeah, he'll embrace the suspension.
He should have just sold his finger paintings to Ballmer's friends.
See, that would have been easier. That would have been more reasonable and fair. That's what, or just to Ballmer. Ballmer could have bought him.
Leo, there's no way this doesn't happen all the time. Players get a lot of endorsement deals. I just don't know how often the ownership of the team creates a dummy company to siphon this is fraud. This is fraud.
Maybe it does happen, but Pablo Torre was investigating this one. This is the one that he found out about.
True.
So
that's very true.
I wonder if he's getting a million tips now about stuff. He must be, huh? With Pablo Torre finds out, which by the way, now he's teaming up. He's going to do stuff with The Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. I knew he was already New York Times /Athletic, but yeah, that's pretty cool that he's going to be doing stuff for them because there aren't many real good investigative journalists left, and to have a good young one with a team that wants to tell stories the way he wants to tell them, that's a pretty good thing.
I love everything that's going down. The crazy thing is too, this is why you need to watch the full episodes too, because this is a part of an episode in Pablo Torre. The full episode is a full-length documentary about how two Democratic politicians from Harvard are behind a $2.3 billion scheme centered around climate change. They had a key donor, the richest owner in sports. They hired Drake, Leo DiCaprio, Robert Downey Jr., and secretly Kawhi Leonard. So this is part of a much larger story and scheme, which is why these stories from Pablo Torre are absolutely fascinating.
That's great.
And this is, I didn't realize this. This is his very first episode with The Athletic officially.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So since the deal with The Athletic and the New York Times went down, this is his first podcast with them. Quite the one to open up with.
Okay. A couple of things. Number one of the things I want to talk about tomorrow, because I'm going to actually tomorrow I'm playing in the Cardinal golf tournament. So I'll be back.
Me
on
and
Friday.
Brendan Schaefer are here.
All right. And you can steal this if you want.
Okay.
But the Cardinals and Giants were basically the same organization in the early 2000s. Giants won in 10, 12, 14. Cardinals won in 11, 13, 100 games in 15. And they kind of mirrored each other, the way they did business. Now, both have taken dips, and the Cardinals, as we know, are rebuilding through youth. The Giants go out and get Matt Chapman and give him a $150 million contract. They get Adames. They get Devers. They signed the Korean center fielder. They signed Jorge Soler. Last year they had signed Blake Snell. They signed traded for Robbie Ray. They're doing it through money, and both teams have virtually the same record, right? They're buying veterans, and the Cardinals are doing it through draft and develop. Which would you rather do? If you're going to wind up in the same place, would you rather do it with high-priced veterans, or would you rather do it through the rebuilding? I want to do that on Friday before the Giants come to town. And the other one is the Cardinals wrap up with the A's tonight. Tomorrow's an off day. Tomorrow, by the way, the start of the NFL season. You've got the Eagles hosting the Cowboys. That's another thing. But who do you think is worse? The owner of the A's or Kroenke?
The owner of the A's is worse.
What makes him worse?
The fact, because he's siphoning off money from fans without any actual goal of making the team better for the city of Oakland. And I think it hurt the players. I think it hurt the fans. I think it hurt the sport. Say what you will about Stan Kroenke, but the players under his time in St. Louis were being very well paid for their level of talent. And since then, he's paying players, and the league is better off for how the Los Angeles Rams. Oh God, I hate. Yeah, I'm gonna puke saying this. The league is better off with them being a good franchise, and they have been a good winning franchise since they got to LA. So just based off that, as much as I hate it, as much as he definitely screwed over St. Louis, the Rams have been a positive effect for their league, whereas the A's over the last decade plus have been a negative effect on their league.
And I'm going to say that Kroenke was worse because St. Louis had a shovel-ready stadium to go.
True.
And Oakland never made a legitimate offer for a baseball stadium. He basically alienated, disenfranchised the fans by, while they were being paid, making sure that the team wasn't good, never having a left tackle, never having a number one receiver, paying players that really didn't play that well, trading up for Tavon Austin rather than taking DeAndre Hopkins, taking Greg Robinson rather than taking Jake Matthews. There were a lot of things that went into there that were particularly evil, but particularly smart. Give them credit because they built a losing team with a lot of money with a thought in mind. But he also completely broke the rules. At least baseball doesn't have relocation guidelines. We know, because they paid $790 million, that the NFL had relocation guidelines. So I'm going to take, as bad as John Fisher, as bad as he is, I'm going to take Kroenke as the worst guy.
That's fair. They both screwed over a lot of common people.
Yep.
One of them happened to screw over a lot more millionaires, and I guess that's a good, that's a good way to put it. Kroenke screwed over a lot of just salt of the earth people by doing what he did with the Rams here in St. Louis.
Unbelievable.
At the same time, how many concession workers didn't get shifts over the last few years in Oakland because when they're building out the schedule, they know we're only going to have 3,000 fans here. We're only going to have concession stands open in these parts of the park. How many people who would usually get shifts and money in Oakland and in the Bay Area weren't making any money because the A's were so bad they didn't have a job anymore.
Yeah,
like they both screwed over so many just common people, and that's the real shitty part.
I'm going to play Johnny one-upper here.
Go for it.
When the Rams were voted to be allowed to move January 12th of 2016, Kroenke and Demoff went to Los Angeles to do an interview with Sam Farmer of the LA Times. They flew from Houston straight to LA. And
what a journalist, Sam Farmer, I tell you.
Oh,
what.
yeah, great.
Wow.
And they did not tell Rams employees whether or not they had jobs. They had Rams employees literally twisting in the wind for like 3 days before they knew whether or not they had a job. They were coming into the office, but they didn't even know if they were going to be invited to go out to LA. And some of them weren't invited to go out to LA and just came and they did their job as St. Louis Rams employees for 3 days, not knowing that they weren't going to have a job. They weren't even going to be offered the opportunity to continue their job.
Did the people who did get offers, I want to know if did the move to LA come with a cost of living increase?
14%.
It did.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the cost of living in LA is like 50% higher.
Yeah, probably.
So there were people that worked, for example, in PR. It was kind of like a minor league baseball situation where they had 5 people sharing an apartment out there.
Oh, really? Yeah. Because I mean, that's you're downgrading your lifestyle by a lot, with only a 14% bump.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah. Bad people.
Scumbag.
So anyway, it's fun to talk about that. But hey, we try to be good people for you here at the Randy Karraker Show. Don't forget DraftKings coming to Missouri, and you need to get started now. All you need to do is download at DraftKings.com, download their app, and then get $300 when they go live on December 1st. Cool weekend coming up with golf at Norwood Hills Country Club. It's the Stiefel Charity Classic. Still tickets available, StiefelCharityClassic.com. You've got the race, the Enjoy Illinois 300 over at Worldwide Technology Raceway. You've got the Cardinals at home against the Giants this weekend. You've got Mizzou and Kansas this weekend. What an unbelievable weekend in St. Louis.
And again, check out StiefelCharityClassic.com. Tickets now on sale. Get out there. It's going to be a great time for an extremely affordable price, and the OAR concert is going to be an absolute blast coming up on Friday. Also, one thing I want to tell everybody about is you mentioned Mizzou and KU. Obviously, that's going to be big. And tonight, we have a big remote show here on STL Sports Central, as we will be doing a live special broadcast out at Harpo's in Chesterfield tonight from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. as Chris Pelican, Vic Faust, and Howard Richards get out there for the MIZ STL show again from Harpo's in Chesterfield. Rob Reedy and other players are going to be joining the show to talk about the KU side of the rivalry as well. Obviously, with Howard and Vic, former Missouri Tigers themselves, they'll be bringing you the Missouri side. We'll get some former KU players in there, really make it a border war out at Harpo's in Chesterfield tonight, 6 to 8 p.m. Get out there again. We're going to be doing the show live little KU versus MU. It's going to be a great time. Should be a fun night. And I can't think of anything better for a pregame show before the KU game this weekend in Columbia, Missouri. Then again, you get Vic, you get Howard, you get Pelican, a lifelong Tigers fan. So you get 2 former Tigers and then Chris Pelican. And then also Rob Reedy and some other former KU players all talking about the rivalry. It's going to be awesome.
It'll be great. Show everybody your Stanley Cup there. Did you know that Stanley has a partnership with Caitlin Clark? There's now a Caitlin Clark Stanley. They're pretty smart over there at Stanley.
People try to make fun of me over my Stanley, but my God, this water is ice cold.
I have
filled it up
multiple
last
Stanleys.
Oh, it's still cold.
I like them. All right. Hope you have a wonderful, you know what we should call it? We should call it a happy hump day.
There you go.
Tomorrow, if you want me to check in, I can call in with or Zoom in with a guest.
Okay.
If you like. And then I will be over at the ballpark on Friday, so I'm going to be on remote, but we'll have Bernie. But I'm going to be with Adam Wainwright's Big League Impact Foundation. They've got their fantasy football setup going, so I'm going to MC that on Friday. But I will be with all y'all on Friday as we get ready for an unbelievable sports weekend here on STL Sports Central.
And tomorrow's show on Thursday, it's going to be myself and Brendan Schaefer. Brendan wasn't here on Tuesday. Claves was here. Mm-hmm. But we thought it was nothing better than me and Schaefer, 2 Mizzou grads, going to be doing a lot of Missouri and Kansas talk tomorrow. We'll be pulling some sound from tonight's show with Vic and Howard Richards. We're going to hopefully have Hannah Barton join us from Southeast Sports Fence. She does a lot of work with Brendan Schaefer. We'll talk about the full SEC slate. And again, a big week from the Tigers. We also have some Mizzou guests joining us as well during the show tomorrow as we have some fun with the border war going this weekend.
M-I-Z.
Z-O-U.
That's what the coach says. Thanks for joining us. The Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Thanks to Wilson for getting us on the air wearing his Bob Quinn jersey today. And we will see you with the Randy Karraker Show featuring Shafe and Rock tomorrow here on STL Sports Central. So long, folks.